Hi, my name is Jared, and this is Horror Obsession. Today, I want to talk about Friday the 13th, the 2009 remake. This movie is fucking bad, and this is coming from someone who loves slasher films. The slasher is my favorite subgenre of horror, and I'll watch just about anything and find something I enjoy in it. I love the stupid characters doing stupid things. I love the gratuitous sex scenes which serve no purpose but to appease the audience's expectations.
Does it really matter if we see
We're not the only ones watching, Ken.
Gotta keep the customer satisfied.
I love the needlessly gory and over-the-top violence. Normally I don't worry about the acting or technical aspects of the movie, but let's just say Friday 2009 manages to screw up almost every single one of these elements so badly it is impossible to not notice. With the slasher, you have two choices. Make the characters likable, so when they are in danger the audience empathizes with them and becomes scared, or make them super unlikable, so when they die they can cheer. Friday 2009 manages to accomplish neither of these effectively. Has a derivative, bordering on non-existent plot, atrocious writing, mostly horrible acting, distractingly bad lighting, and completely unimaginative directing. The opening scene is actually good. Well, not good, but fine. It feels good relative to the rest of the movie, which is a bit like saying I'm good at basketball relative to Danny DeVito. Alright, so the movie opens, and before we even get to the opening shot of the film, there's already red flags everywhere. Michael Bay's involvement in the film is both prominent and vague. Is he directing? No, that's Marcus Nispel. Did he write it? No, that's Damian Shannon, Mark Wheaton, and Mark Swift. Wow, it took 3 people to write this? Who are these guys? Well, Damian Shannon and Mark Swift are the dynamic duo who brought you such classics as Freddy vs. Jason, this movie, Baywatch, and that's actually it. That's all they've written. Alright, I see why they brought in a third writer. Someone with a history of navigating the muddy waters of creative writing, of bringing a nuanced and complicated story together. A man by the name of Mark Wheaton, who has written a TV movie I've never heard of, a screenplay for a forgettable, awful horror movie, and another TV movie I've never heard of. Kind of a bad sign when all of the writers of the movie had their careers come to an abrupt end after this movie, but let's see how it turns out. The credits show a weird recap of the original Friday the 13th. You know, the one where Jason's mom was the killer. Well, anyway, they decide to reshoot this scene instead of showing the original, and she gets her head cut off by a machete, and I guess Jason was there to see it, and then we fast forward like 20 years for the start of the movie. Okay, kind of a rough intro, but it's okay, I'm not here for the plot anyway. Next, we get introduced to our cast of characters, who are all completely one-note, stereotypical college kids. Right off the bat, the terrific trio establish their own one-note writing style of continuously having every character talk about sex nonstop.
I don't like my mosquitoes.
Ooh, hey, you wanna slap that ass one more time for Daddy?
Oh, Daddy like that?
Yeah, Daddy.
Richie, the bro lawyer Ron LaFlamme from Silicon Valley.
Did you work on Pied Piper on Hooli time, or use Hooli equipment to develop it in any way? At any time, Richie?
No, and no.
Great. And by the way, always tell me that. And tell yourself that. Because if you believe it, a jury will too.
Oh, I do believe it. It's the truth.
Great. That one was even better than the other one. I love it. Always say it exactly like that.
His comedic relief friend, 2 hot girls with no personality or character traits, and a third guy who is essentially just a vehicle for Heineken product placement.
Is this all we bought to drink? No Heineken or anything?
Are all wandering through the woods looking for marijuana plants which they plan to steal and sell. They stop for the night, tell the Jason campfire story, and Mr. Comedic Relief has one somewhat amusing line before the kids all split up to have sex.
You know how many lakes are probably called Crystal Lake? It's Crystal Geyser, Crystal Water. Go to a supermarket. Every single bottle of water is crystal something.
Aquafina.
One of the girls has a moment of actual human emotion before the writers get distracted and Heineken Bro steers the conversation away from those pesky human emotions and right back to sex.
I don't feel right being here. So far away from my mom.
Your mom's the one that told me to get you out of town for a few days.
Really?
Yeah. And she's in good hands. She's got her nurse right there. Come on. Have sex with your boyfriend.
Comedic Relief goes wandering, finds the weed, but also unfortunately finds Jason, whose costume is identical to the town that dreaded sundown for some reason and promptly gets murdered. Human Emotion Female and her douchey boyfriend wander into an old camp, and you can guess where this is going. Despite being absurdly obvious, the writers feel the need to tell the audience,
That must be the camp that Wade was talking about.
yeah, no shit, not all of us are as dumb as you three. As if this one line is not enough, I guess we are pretending everyone watching doesn't already know this is obviously where Jason has been living, and once inside they see a bed with a headboard with Jason carved into it, to further reinforce that yes, this is where Jason lives. I know this shouldn't bother me so much, but Jason was just a kid going to summer camp when the counselors pranked him and he drowned accidentally. He didn't, like, live at the camp. Why would he have a personalized bed with his name carved in it? I guess these three were too distracted thinking about sex to actually watch the first movie? Alright, so anyway, they wander around the house aimlessly as the script sort of meanders along until we cut back to the camp where, of course, the kids are having sex. Richie goes out to investigate a strange noise and promptly finds Comedic Relief's body. This is where the opening scene actually picks up, and Jason breaks through the tent and Ron LaFlamme hears screaming, which is Amanda hung from her sleeping bag being burned alive. Ron LaFlamme steps on a bear trap, and the gore effects are excellent and disturbing. The other couple is still fucking around in the house, and apparently Jason is back at the house where he is slicing through the floor and brutally kills the boyfriend. Whitney runs back to the camp where Ron LaFlamme is still trapped and his leg is just ruined. Naturally, Jason shows up and we get a pretty sweet kill on LaFlamme. And the last shot we see of the intro is Jason swinging his machete at full speed towards Whitney, and bam, title card. I wanted to spend a lot of time on this opening scene because it is actually the best part of the movie, by far. Not saying it is a masterpiece by any means, but I actually enjoyed this quite a lot. The characters are stereotypical douchebags and the writing is atrocious, but the kills are fun, brutal, and inventive, and there is plenty to like for a slasher movie. Sadly, this is the high watermark for the film, which becomes painfully obvious right away when we get introduced to our new cast of horribly one-note characters. There is Main Douche, Token, Asian Comedic Relief, a guy whose entire personality is his fuck Christmas shirt, and 3 hot girls who have no discernible characteristics. This may shock you, but the characters all talk about sex.
Sure, man. Hey, I give a wicked blowjob too.
Okay, well, we'll try that out later.
Jared Padalecki is also there, looking for his sister, and he is doing his best, but the script is so bad you can almost feel the actors' pain through their performance.
Yeah, everything's fine. Thanks. But I'm not your bro.
So you don't want to be friends after this? You don't want to hang out?
Let it go, Trent.
It's not me. This guy's being a dick.
Yeah, it's me. Obviously, I'm the one being a dick.
Next, we see Padalecki talking to a cop, and he says,
You know how many thousands of people disappear every year, even in this state alone?
well, just for fun, I decided to look it up, and 299 went missing in New Jersey in 2019. So anyway, Padalecki is actually good at acting, and does a decent job convincing us he is a human person who cares about more than sex. A somewhat shocking revelation based on the other characters so far. Alright, so our douchey cast shows up to the house, and they continue to be awful, and not even in a fun way. The Asian and black dude reveal their one character trait, which is they are the 2 who smoke weed. The other 2 guys are just trying to bang the girls, which is shocking, I know. Meanwhile, Padalecki is walking and stumbles into a startling jump scare.
I'm so startled.
Turns out, he also managed to find the Harbinger, which is the trope where there is a character who tells everyone they're doomed unless they turn back or leave.
And then over.
I told the others. They didn't believe me. You're all doomed. You're all doomed.
Back at the main douche's house, everyone is drinking and one of the girls is filming. Remember that, because it becomes important later. Oh wait, no it doesn't. Go ahead and forget about that, because it never affects the plot in any way. Main douche and his girlfriend are outside talking, and in addition to the atrocious writing, neither of them can act. Turns out, delivering your lines with terrible cadence and no emotional expression on your face isn't a good way to convince the audience you're a real character.
Really great move that I've been practicing, and I need someone to practice it with.
Padalecki is trying to hand out more flyers and stumbles onto some redneck pervert guy, and his dialogue is supposed to be funny, maybe?
Came about that close to hitting the start button on the whoop-ass machine, boy.
It's unclear if they are trying to make fun of rednecks or if the writers were trying to make this guy likable, but neither works. If you think I'm being too harsh on this guy, well, here is his next and his last scene where he forgets where he put his fuck doll mannequin and then promptly gets killed.
Gina, it's just you, baby. It's been a long time, Gina. You remember that special night we had? Remember when you took my virginity? You're sexy. You're still tight as ever. I'm gonna fucking pound you so hard.
One of the couples goes to take the boat out on the lake, and there is some fun TNA, and for a brief moment, the characters are actually doing something relatable and fun. And then, fuck Christmas shirt guy gets shot by an arrow. I'm going to pause here, because this becomes a running theme in terms of the director and writers not knowing how to write a horror kill. I talk about this all the time, and that's because it's so true. But in order to have an effective kill, the audience needs to be in suspense. In order to create suspense, there needs to be tension and anticipation of what might happen. This is the bomb under the table, and watch my video on Alien for a more in-depth explanation, including Hitchcock's brilliant explanation of why unexpected kills like this don't work. And now I guarantee you I've spent more time thinking about this than the writers of the movie did, so anyway, second victim down. The blonde girl swims away to a dock and magically Jason is there, and then he kills her by stabbing her through the head with a machete, and we get one last look at her tits and another exploitative, egregious moment which undermines the entire tone of the scene. Next, we find out Whitney survived her encounter with Jason earlier. Alright, I know they did this because they want Padalecki to actually have something to do, but this makes absolutely no sense. Remember when I said the last shot we see of Jason is him swinging his machete full strength? Well, I guess he pulled up, captured her, and chained her in the back of his underground tunnel hideout thing? There is never any explanation as to why he does this, except I guess it's implied she looks sort of like his mother or something. So back at the douche house, everyone is still drinking and being douchey when an Asian guy burns his lips trying to take a flaming shot, stumbles over a chair, which I guess is a family heirloom, then puzzlingly believes he can fix it.
They don't call me the wood wizard because I masturbate a lot.
Oh right, another sex joke. Genius. So he goes back to the shed to try and find tools to fix it or something, while main douche is cheating on his girlfriend, and the black guy is starting to masturbate in the living room of the house where everyone is staying using a magazine. It's impossible to overstate how stupid the script of this movie is, but I'm not sure there is anything more bizarre and ridiculous than trying to have one of your characters masturbate to a middle-aged woman in a sweater on the couch of the living room where upwards of 6 other people could wander in at any moment. So anyway, Jason is, of course, in the shed, and he stabs Asian guy through the neck with a screwdriver, which is kind of a lame kill. Also, the lighting is horrible, a trend which continues through the conclusion of the film. It's not quite AVP Requiem level bad, but honestly, it's pretty close. From this point on in the movie, it is impossible to see what's going on, because I guess they blew their entire budget on the opening scene. The characters then wander one by one away from the group and immediately get picked off, starting with the black guy going out to the shed to try and fight Jason with a fire poker and literally using a pan as a shield. And this may shock you, but it doesn't go well. Jason just throws an axe from like 50 yards away and hits him in the back. I mean, like, seriously? You don't have to make your movie this stupid, guys. You really don't. Padalecki pulls one of my favorite horror tropes.
No, you can't go out there.
We have to help him.
No, we can't, okay?
Randy, where are you going? I'm going to Beaverton. You can't go out there. You'll freeze to death. My son is counting on me.
I'm going with you.
You can't go out there. You'll freeze to death.
Jason then teleports around the house for a little bit before settling on killing the brunette girl. The death scene is so disappointing. He has her in his grasp, and for a moment you're wondering, will he punch through her, rip her head off, grab her heart out? But alas, he stabs her with antlers on the door, and naturally she just immediately dies. Oh, and the lighting is impossibly bad. A lens flare from a flashlight is not a substitute for properly lighting your scenes, you simpletons. The cop from earlier shows up and dies immediately in perhaps the most anticlimactic savior scene since The Shining. Everyone splits up again, main douche gets killed by being impaled on some car spike thing, and finally Padalecki and the other girl are the last two. They have the genius idea of going back to the house, which is obviously where Jason lives, and oh, surprise, Jason is there too. They find Padalecki's sister, the other girl gets stabbed in what was actually a somewhat surprising but also totally expected outcome. The writers didn't want too many people to survive, and for some reason they are committed to the brother-sister duo making it, so she had to go. Her kill is also super uninspired and has no suspense or setup, so it just kind of like happens. It starts raining to let us know this is the climax, and Whitney is, I guess, our final girl because she delivers what I think was intended to be a cool, badass line, but I mean, come on.
Jason! Say hi to Mommy! In hell!
Okay, now it finally makes sense while all three of these writers' careers ended.
I'm about to end this man's whole career.
What
career? But I'm not a rapper.
What career?
After defeating Jason, Whitney and Padalecki make the puzzling decision to untangle his corpse from the chains and dump his body back in Crystal Lake, which serves literally no purpose except to set up the final jump scare where he comes out of the water and grabs her. The end. Oh boy, where to even start? The characters in this movie are beyond atrocious. I've used that word several times because I honestly can't think of a proper way to describe how poorly written, poorly acted, and massively unlikable they are. I might need to learn a new language to properly describe the catastrophe that is the character writing in this movie.
Oh, look, your parents do not have combos or Funyuns, and they definitely don't have Fritos, and this is not for sex.
What are you gonna use them for?
It's an experiment.
Even for slasher movie standards, they are just so bad. Padalecki gives it his best shot, and he is somewhat charming at times, but everyone else is just trash. I don't even think Daniel Day-Lewis could have done anything with this script. I would say Mark, and Damien should be ashamed of the script, but I think having their careers...
I'm about to end this man's whole career.
What
career? But I'm not a rapper.
What career?
Ended is probably penance enough, so I'll just leave it at that. As far as the directing goes, the opening scene is pretty good and actually somewhat engaging, but the rest of the movie is just a poorly lit nightmare without any interesting editing, cinematography, camera angles, or really anything to redeem it. Rather than doing Michael Bay's standard, so much action you can't see what's going on shtick, they just cut straight to making it so you literally can't see what's going on. In a genre which is all about watching cool, inventive kills, this is a critical mistake, and in combination with the horrible writing, acting, and completely jumbled shitshow of a plot, all you're left with is a soulless, disappointing, annoying, frustrating, money-grabbing, and worst of all, boring movie that I could not wait to end. Take my word for it, stay away from this movie. And that's coming from a guy who enjoys the slasher genre as much as anyone. The only way I could recommend this film is if you're looking for a masterclass on exactly what not to do in a horror movie. This movie isn't even bad enough to be funny and laugh at, and really is so joyless it wasn't even fun for someone with a devastating horror obsession.